Hi, this is Natalie Clack, Head Life Coach from JustBE Coaching Company in Johannesburg, South Africa. Welcome to our show, Natural Self-Help Tools for the Busy Entrepreneur. Here we've joined up with Explore ProTech to bring you the best information that any entrepreneur could need in this busy, fast-paced world. And today I'd like to introduce you to our guest, Cathi Williams. She is a life coach from Minnesota, and she suggests that you invest in yourself for confidence, purpose, and love. Tell me, Cathi, would you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself and your business, please?
Definitely. So yes, I'm Cathi Williams and I am from Minnesota. And I started as a life coach. So actually, well, before I was a life coach, I was a personal trainer. So I've been working with people on their health and their wellness. And back in 2012, it really hit me how many people knew what to do, but they just still can't go through the motions, and something keeps people stuck. And so as I started working with people and their mindset and their beliefs, it's amazing to see how when somebody changes one thing in the area or in one area of their life, everything in their life starts changing. So it's really cool, that snowball effect that happens just by helping us understand our thoughts and how our thoughts really do impact the way we react in our lives. And it really affects what we can do and we can't do.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. It's very, very obvious to a person when you're sitting in that feeling of overwhelm and you finally find somebody that can help you just get clarity. Because when you're in the position, you can't see outside it. I find there's nothing a coach needs better than a mindset coach of their own.
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, like if you're a coach, I mean, every coach that I know has their own coach. And we finally get to the point of realizing that everybody can benefit from a coach, because even as I know what to do in the process, a lot of times I can't see my own issues. It's like trying to put on makeup in the dark, as an example. I'm like, if you don't have that mirror, you don't know what you really look like.
Absolutely, it makes a lot of sense. So tell me, can you tell the audience what self-help tools you use on a daily basis that helps you as a busy entrepreneur to overcome the situation that we deal with every day as a busy entrepreneur?
Yes. So when I think specifically about overwhelm, the number one thing that actually helped me was to actually use a calendar and to be like rigidly tight on it. So I used to be one of those people, I'd set goals and like, oh, maybe I'll do this. And I never would follow my calendar, but I would get so caught up in my mind of like, I have to do this and this. And that overwhelm and anxiety. And I would lash out at my husband and my kids and I wouldn't get things done. But instead I learned, and I do this process I learned, and every Monday I write down every single thing on my to-do list. And maybe throughout the week, before that, I'll be like, oh, I need to do this, and set reminders so I can remember what I have to do. But every Monday, every single to-do that I have, I actually put it in my calendar. And what's also great about that is, let's say I have to make like 10 phone calls. I pair all those phone calls around that same time together. So I'm not, oh, I'm on my email and then I'm doing a phone call and now I'm back on the email. But it's what's great about once you have everything categorized, you know what you need to prioritize. So what are those big chunks of time you need? So what are those 2-hour blocks, and where are you going to put them in your calendar, block them out? When are you most productive also to make those really important things happen? And then some of those small things you can really put into those little cracks where you have, hey, I just have a half an hour. And so many times those half-hour time, blocks, they can go to waste. But when you know your to-dos and you can block them in together, it's amazing how efficient you can be. And it's great because now at the end of my day, I'm actually able to focus and pay attention to my kids instead of worrying about everything that I'm supposed to be doing or to do, because I know it's my calendar. I know when I'm going to get it done. And I don't feel that overwhelm or anxiety that I'm not going to get this done.
Wow, I like that. Those are very valuable tips for most of us who try to circumvent the time we blocked out for admin.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Tell me, can you perhaps give us 3 challenges that you've faced as a busy entrepreneur, and what tools you've used?
So the challenges of, I guess, knowing, what is, how am I supposed to, post, or when am I supposed to be, post, all of those things. And So I've realized like, what are those tools? So through Facebook, is a tool that I use right now, and there's probably much better ones out there, but now I realize like I need to schedule. So talk about scheduling once again. I'm like, I need to actually schedule my posts in, because I'd have a great idea about a post and then I would never post it. Or I'd be on my phone and I'd never like the way it works because it's all clumbled together and you can't read it, and or the timing of things. So I've now posted, and I can post at times where it is supposed to be the most productive. Where I know in Minnesota, it's, at least I've been told and kind of try to follow, is between that 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. time is the best time to make posts, at least for Instagram. So I can go and I schedule up my posts, and so that's one tool I use. My calendar is that other great one. Tools like having a good mic. So if you're going to talk and do conferences, make sure people can hear you, which is amazing to use. So this, and there's another great app out there that I found recently called, is it Clack? I'm trying to open it up and see exactly. It is, Crisp. So you can get Crisp, and it is going to take out all background noise. So for tools in there, and you're worrying about those things, Crisp is another great app you can look at. And then I guess the other tools I use is just grab your notebook, grab a pen, like go old school, because when you're running around, and I mean, I like that electronic ways of putting everything in my calendar, but I realize there's still moments I'm not on my computer, I'm not on my phone, and I just need to write something, get it out of your head. So then you don't have to continue to waste space in your head about what you have to do or what you're worried about. Sometimes it's the overwhelm of what you feel or think about that social media, but at least starting to be aware of your thoughts is amazing, because once you're aware of your thoughts, that's when you can actually find that healing and move past it.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, those tips seriously resonate.
Yeah.
Because, all of us as coaches, we're sitting in a position where you've got such a noisy social media world. You're out there trying to make an impact. You're trying to get through that noise that people can see who you are and what it is that you can help with. Because I haven't met a single coach that's the same. We all have something different to bring to the table. And to get somebody to hear who you are when there's so much going on around you, it becomes overwhelming for yourself. Forget them.
It is. Well, and even social media and that overwhelm, sometimes it's so hard when we start reading everybody else's posts, we lose our own voice and we forget ours, because we start playing this comparison game of, oh, that's what they said, and maybe I should be saying what they say and this, and because, oh, look at, they had this many likes and I've only had this many likes. But what's amazing is when you make a post and and that's where I love that tool. It's like, I don't even have to be on social media, and I can schedule social media posts, and I don't have to be looking at anybody else's or get caught up in like 2 hours of like, oh, I'm going to make a post. And now instead of like posting, I spent 2 hours looking at other people's posts instead.
Yeah.
So it's finding those tools that work well for you. And the thing is, what's great is like everybody's different. So what works best for you in your business? So, look into some of those things and see what platforms you use, and to find out what tools can be the best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, so tell me,
Yeah.
with regards to being a coach, with regards to your clients, can you tell me the top 3 challenges that your clients face and how you suggest that they can deal with those things?
Yeah. One of the big things is just finding their own internal value. And it's so many of my clients is we're looking for, and I've been this way before, and sometimes I get caught up in my own self. So I'm not speaking as an expert of and that I've gotten this taken care of, but it's so easy to get caught up on that external validation of things. So how many likes do you have? How many people saw your post? And when we don't, and it's interesting because a lot of times I'll use myself example. I never even knew how many likes I needed or what it was supposed to be, how many to be seen. But I would go in and I would compare myself, and I would not be happy with whatever the number was. And then I would bring myself down,
Yeah.
and I would make myself mean that people don't care about me, I'm devalued. And so a lot of times I'm coaching is just helping people understand their true value and not basing their value on people's facial expressions, not finding their value off of how many likes or how many people see their posts, but really just knowing, because deep down you have something out that's important that you need to share to the world and to get out there.
Yeah.
So that's like the number one thing I do. And it ties in kind of with that lovability piece. I work with a lot of people and I've worked with a lot of entrepreneur spouses or moms. And it's just, how do you find that own love for yourself? Because same thing kind of ties in with that value is when you don't love yourself, you're not going to speak authentically and you truly won't be able to serve other people.
Yeah,
People will
absolutely.
find when you're serving out of like a need versus serving out of just true, genuine care.
Yeah, yes, that makes a lot of sense. I like that. You know,
Yeah.
self-worth, funnily enough, is at the crux of most of our trauma, stress, anxiety. And like you say, at the end of the day, when you start posting authentically, just what you think about today and what you feel is a valuable insight for someone. It's funny how all of a sudden that's when you start getting into actions, when you stop trying so hard to work out what message would be great and rather come from a place like with me when I wake up in the morning. I kind of base it on sort of what I'm dealing with or struggling with or overcoming, if that makes any sense. And then I just
Yeah.
post from that perspective. What advice can I give somebody that's feeling or struggling with what I'm dealing with on that particular day, or what did I use to overcome it that can maybe help someone else? So it makes such a big difference. And now when you're trying to work out what somebody else has posted and everybody's posting, oh, but they beat me to it. And then you realize, but wait a minute, they might have beat you to it, but they weren't really in the same mind space as you are on the topic. You have a
Yeah.
completely different slant to it. And somebody else needs your message. They didn't need necessarily that message. And on the other hand, they could need both.
Really.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
It's,
quite a challenge.
yeah. Isn't the saying, that, people need like 7 or 10 times for it to actually sink in before usually they will actually, be able to commit to something or maybe make that change. It's like, it is. We need to see those things multiple times, sometimes for it to like strike and be like, oh yeah, what that is. That is what I need.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have a specific audience or niche market that you focus on?
I've been working a lot with just those, well, kind of in twofold things. So there's a lot of entrepreneur spouses I've been working with because they are that rock of the family. And actually it's started off there, but I've realized like there's just a lot of moms, and even if they're spouses in a corporate world, but it usually is that stay-at-home mom, dad. Maybe they have like a hobby or that business hobby that they're trying to start doing, but they're doing something very part-time, but they are the rock at home and they need help because as they're supporting everybody else, and they originally, when they started off in that supportive position, they were so excited and they're passionate and they're happy about what to do. But over time, that luster starts going away and it doesn't feel as exciting anymore. And that's where they start feeling that like they might not be valued. Being that rock at home is a very thankless job and people take you for granted very easily. So as that rock at home is you need to find your own way to stay strong and you can't depend on other people. So you need to really find it within with that self-love, that self-confidence, finding what your purpose and your passions are continually so then you can continue to authentically give to other people.
Wow, that's very, very, very deep. I've walked that path, and it's
Mhm.
you got to reach that point where you accept that you're not necessarily going to get the validation and the appreciation that you
Mhm.
need for what you're doing, and that you got to find it somewhere inside yourself that what you're giving is enough, that those people are able to thrive in their spaces as a result of what you're doing. But like you say, I think it's something very important. I've walked a long path and I can't say I've conquered it. Um, but yeah, I think that's a very important step and an important place to be. I really
Yeah.
honestly think a lot more people need to reach out and speak to you about that, because it's difficult and it's an important position to hold, because you need a rock. when things are wobbly and you're out there and you're trying to be in front of crowds and you're trying to find your way as an entrepreneur, and you're dealing with all these people that say no when you arrive there with a product or the service, and all the issues with dealing with clients and suppliers, and then the kids, and then the dog, and then the cats. It's quite a challenge to juggle and still maintain that equilibrium. So yeah, I think there's quite a big space for both sides actually to be counseled and coached. So what 3 tools do you offer do you suggest that those specific clients that you work with incorporate into their lives?
So people see the most change when they actually start taking that time to, whether it's electronically or on paper, whatever it is, but actually write out your thoughts. What are your thoughts? Because circumstances happen. And like, let's say circumstance is my neighbor's cat got hit on the road. And that's a very specific circumstance. And different people have different feelings, whether they like a cat, whether they don't like the cat, whatever happened on it. But it's interesting because they make something different. And so they make their thought is like, this was probably a bad thing, but it's a example, but they'll make that thought of like, thankfully that, this, yes, they'll be excited about it. They won't be. A better example might just be like Jimmy said, like, my hair looks blue. But somebody might interpret it as like, my hair's ugly. He said my hair's ugly. And that's their thought, what they thought about it. And it's one of those things. And we make our thoughts the circumstance. And so what happens is when you start realizing all the meaning you've made out of a situation, and so really trying to separate it and write your thoughts down and take, so it's 5 minutes to 30 minutes. Don't spend any more than 30 minutes analyzing your thoughts. Otherwise, you can actually just start bringing yourself down because you're just getting too like, whoa, it can be like, woe is me, but taking only 5 minutes a day, write down your thoughts, figure out, why am I thinking this? Where did this come from? And then you also get to choose like, well, is that really what I want to believe? Is that really what's true? Or what else could be true? What else might be true? What do I really want to believe about this? And sometimes you might be able to believe, so let's say you're not feeling that you're beautiful, like you don't like what you see in the mirror. And you start realizing all these thoughts that you start having. And you might not be able to go the next day to be like, I'm hot, look at me, I'm a rock star. But you can say, you know what, I have a body. And so sometimes we can start finding these thoughts that can resonate with us. We can still believe them, but there'll be a step in that right motion. So finding that thought, even if it's business wise of like, hey, I'm amazing, I'm like the top at what I do. Maybe it's say, hey, I'm learning, but it's finding these thoughts, finding these ways that help you to just continue to stay in a movement and stay in actions and the person that you want to be. But yeah, 5 minutes of writing down a day.
Oh, wow. I like that. That makes a lot of sense. I will definitely sit down and make a plan with that, because it is, you don't realize it. And I mean, when you grow up, 90% of the beliefs that you incorporate into your life, which I've learned from REBT and NLP, is that you take it from other people's reactions and gaining attention as a child from a specific adult or friend, and you incorporate that. And that's the little blueprint that you work from every day. And you don't even realize it because you've just internalized all this stuff and created a belief system from which you work. Yet you don't actually realize, like you say, until you sit down and you put it on paper, but wait a minute, like what made me think that thought? At the end of the day, it was silly, and you don't really realize it's silly if you don't sit and think about it, but you'll allow it to destroy you for weeks. You will never dye your hair that color again because it just didn't resonate with your audience. And funnily enough, everybody loves it, including the person that made that comment. But you have internalized that they don't, and that you look ugly and you look fat in that dress. I mean, you never ever pull that beautiful dress back out your cupboard, and yet you look better in that than anything else you've ever got in your cupboard. So yeah, it is. It's quite an intense little situation we get ourselves into.
Yeah, it is. And it happens. And everybody will do it. So even if it's as coaches, I mean, my master coach has been doing this for over 20 years. I mean, it still does. And I talk about like there's sneaky little thoughts. And so when they come in, and what's great is when you become aware of what you're thinking, and when you have those negative thoughts that come in that you've been doing your whole life, eventually you're gonna be able to like, oh, there's that sneaky little thought, like, and you're able to sit with it, like, okay, yep, I'm feeling this. I know it's not true, but okay, I'm feeling it. Like I'm feeling it, and that's okay.
Okay.
And just being able to sit in that emotion, because life is not always 100% going to be butterflies and roses and rainbows. So you are going to have times where things are uncomfortable and they feel bad, and that's okay.
Okay. What do you suggest? Any particular step that you can take to help you with those? Because, you know, I'm currently dealing with, I don't want to feel it. So I would much rather go and find something to occupy myself with and be busy so I can forget that the feeling's there. So I override it, which doesn't help.
Yeah.
So what would you suggest for a city person
So
like me?
yes. So first, understand, what are your thoughts? Why are you feeling uncomfortable right now? And
Well,
I won't make you go, if you want to answer it, you can.
well, we can. Let's take it from the business perspective. Okay, so you're not getting enough
Okay.
clients. You're putting all your posts out there. Does the
Mhm.
market not care about me? Am I off the topic? Let's have a look at that
Yeah.
one.
So my question is, your thought is like, does the market not care about me? Does that where you make it actually mean the market does not care about me?
Yeah, I suppose the thing is then you actually have to stop and internalize that and turn it into counseling, realize, but wait a minute, like, do I value myself enough to think my opinion counts?
Yeah. So one, if you ever have a thought that you realize is a question, number one, answer that question. Otherwise, we just
Okay.
keep there and staying in our little rat reel. So what if you're ever in like that confusion, like, oh, well, does this, or do they think this? Do they want it? Answer it. And you do believe, your gut, just be quiet and answer it. But, and let's say, for example, it was like, because a lot of times people are like, oh, they pose thoughts in a question like, oh, does the market really care for me? But they really inside feel like the market does not care about me, or, and using that as a thought
Yeah.
and understanding that that's a thought. But then, like, a lot of times I'll ask people like, well, why are you choosing to think that?
Yes, true.
You know, and it's like, why are you choosing? Because you're choosing to think that, because that's not the circumstance. I'd be curious, like, well, what are all those very specific things that's making you think that? And start separating that thought from, these are just all circumstances. And it's just a thought that the market doesn't care for me.
Yeah, true. Because when you stop and you actually look at it, you see, but wait a minute, now people are starting to respond. Some people are liking the post. So,
Mhm.
it's literally just coming from what perspective, like you say, as soon as you start asking questions, you start actually validating a different picture to the one that you were trying
Yeah.
to internalize.
Mhm.
It's interesting.
Yeah, because I'm like, and there's certain things to look at. Let's say it's like, well, maybe it's not the like sign. Maybe let's say it was a like on a Facebook. Well, the market doesn't like me because I'm not getting likes.
Yeah.
And then I even ask yourself, I'm like, have you ever seen a post that you like, but you just don't give it a thumbs up?
Yeah, because like you just said like to 5 before, and you don't feel like saying like to the next one.
And it doesn't mean anything bad about that person,
Yeah, true,
but
because theirs was better than the others.
and but we still make it bad about ourselves. Or like, oh, so I didn't get all these likes in here. And oh, why was that? And I know there's times I've gone through and scrolled. I'm like, oh, I really like that, but I'm just like in zone out mood, and I just don't hit any of thumbs ups or hearts or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I just look at things. And it's amazing because the only person that matters in those posts that you're reaching out to, remember, is it's that one person that needs to hear your voice right now, or those
Absolutely.
two or those five people. And so it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality.
Yes, absolutely. See how our little session ended up all about social media. I wonder which business
Yeah.
entrepreneurs needs to hear our voices today.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Are there any tools or programs that you suggest that the audience can reach out and connect with you to try out?
So stay tuned. Join my newsletter. I am going to be coming out with a very specific video series and with worksheets involved of a step process of just how on your own, how can you start out just writing and understanding your thoughts and actually changing your brain synopsis. It takes 62 days, change your brain synopsis. It's amazing. And you can actually make habits change that last for a lifetime. Really simple and easy. So do that. Join my newsletter in there. Otherwise, if you're somebody that you just want to experience coaching, I love coaching. And if you go through coaching and you're like, I want this, I need more of it. Yes, we can talk more about it. But otherwise, I love coaching. So if you ever want a coaching session, see what it's like. I would love to coach you, help you just understand within that life wheel, where are you struggling? Where do you want to focus on? And maybe use that tool that I will be posting out in another couple months, but we'll go from there.
Oh,
So, but
that's
yes,
super
follow me on
exciting.
Instagram, find me on Instagram, jump on my website. It would be great to connect.
Oh, that's lovely. Okay, I'll be putting all of the links in the chat. So when people listen to this, whether they listen to it live or recorded, they will have access to all of that information. Please, I suggest that you reach out, connect with Cathi, give it a shot. These are important things that we need to deal with because it forms the foundation that we come from every day. And if you want to reach out there and be successful, you need to slowly but surely sift through the salt that's causing chaos and find that inner peace that only comes from clearing the salt. Any last thoughts, Cath?
No, it's great talking today. And I look forward to meeting everybody that listens and finding out more about your lives.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for your time. It was awesome having you here. And if you like this video, like, subscribe, join our YouTube channel. There are going to be many tips and tricks that's still to come with our show. And hook up, connect with each of us, and come and see what it's like to sit in the chair and cross the bridges and find that awesome space of confidence that you really deserve to enjoy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.